Hello, my name is Tina Ducharme. Welcome to my YouTube channel. This is a channel where I channel celebrities who have crossed over to the other side. I review with you their soul contracts and kind of walk you through as to what experiences they chose to have and how that played out for them. If you're new to my channel, I do put an introductory video in the description box below talking a little bit more about the soul contract and the history and how I come up with the numbers. I also, if you are interested in learning more about me and the services I provide, please go to my website, which is Tina Ducharme LLC. And I will also put that in the link below. So today is July 9th. And I just want you to also understand that these videos are timeless. So if you are pulled or attracted to a video, there is probably a message in it for you. So I have been talking over the last week with Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She was a Supreme Court justice who passed away this last year. Many people know all about her. She was just this like 5'1" little dynamo of a lady and did so much to help push forward growth for gender equality and many other wonderful progressive moves that she made during her lifetime. So she was, I want to talk a little bit about her. And here, let me pull up her chart so we can be looking at that as I am discussing this. Oh, and before I forget, please like, subscribe, and share so that you can get more videos and messages from celebrities who've crossed over, because there's many of them who would like to bring messages to everybody. And they're very heartwarming and healing. So please like, share, and subscribe. So now I will share my screen and we will bring up Ruth's chart. And so the first thing we want to look at immediately, you see this picture is of her when she was nominated by Clinton to be on the Supreme Court. So this made her the second woman ever to be on the Supreme Court. The first was Sandra Day O'Connor. So Ruth was the second. Now she was born Joan Ruth Bader. And when we do the soul contract, we look at, as far as names go, the name that is on your birth certificate. And that is the name that the soul chose. And these are the vibrations that play out throughout your life. Now, if you were to change your name, like she was known as Ruth Bader Ginsburg, those would add another set of numbers and a little bit would add to the complexity. But we're going to focus today on just her birth name and the numbers and how those numbers played out for her. So let me just talk a little bit about Ruth. She was known as the Notorious RBG. She had quite a reputation. And she is known also for Justice for All. Again, she was nominated to the Supreme Court in 1993 by Clinton, second woman. When she went to law school, she went to Harvard. She was accepted by Harvard, which was really something special back in her day, because not a lot of women were allowed to go to college, and especially for law. So she was only one of 8, I believe. It was 8 out of 500 law students at Harvard. And she encountered a great deal of hostility because it was looked on back then that she was basically taking a slot away from a man, and that was very, very frowned upon. So men were at that time still valued in our society more than women. I'm not saying that has gone away. We are continuing to work on that here in the United States, and I know there's a lot of other countries that are continuing to work on it. And she was a huge believer in that justice for all. And there's a couple of things. She was a law teacher, and she was one of the first female tenured professors at Columbia University, which also was a great achievement for women. She fought for gender equality. She got away from calling it sex discrimination because a close associate of hers, just because there were so many men reviewing these cases, that the sex part would distract them. So they changed that to gender equality. And she did not only fight for women's that part of the gender equality, she also did for men. There was a case she took on that related to when your spouse passed away, if you were a widower, getting benefits. However, that did not apply to men. So when their wives died, they did not get that same benefit. So she fought for that and made great changes in that area as well, as far as, because she realized, as we all must realize, that any type of gender inequality hurts all of us, whether it's against men or women or race. As we all know, that hurts us all in the end. We are we are all one. And I know, I preach that a lot on this channel about unity consciousness, but it is really for the greater good and the good of all of us. So I just wanted to bring that up. That she not only fought for women's rights, which she had been very, very discriminated in her career, and she handled that very well. And we'll see how that all played out for her in her chart, because she has a lot of great numbers, a lot of strength there, and it obviously came out. She also was credited with officiating one of the first same-sex marriages as well. Very, very progressive lady, did so much. I'm so thankful to her, and I'm sure a lot of women and men are thankful to her. And she also wants to acknowledge at this time, she's saying to me that a lot of men helped her. I believe it was her first job. Her professor at Harvard almost threatened the company against not hiring her. I mean, if she feels, if there were men out there that really pushed for her success, obviously Bill Clinton also was the one who nominated her, and she couldn't have done it. This is not about women taking over the world and becoming superior. This is about balancing the scales. And we all have a masculine and a feminine side. And so it's not just, as if we can balance that masculine and feminine within each of us, that will also manifest on the outside and balance that inequality. So it's very, very important for us to do our inner work. We had a new moon in Cancer here in July, and that was, from what my perspective is all about relationships. And so Ruth came here. She jumped on board with me because she wanted to bring some messages about relationships. She was very much a workaholic, and we'll talk a little bit about that self-sacrificing energy that she was drawing to herself. But she wants to talk about how that balancing your relationships, and that means in your personal life and in your business life, and it's nurturing those, listening, allowing others to voice their opinions. So let's start off with, as I always talk about, the two interlocking triangles to the Star of David here, which is where all of the numbers and these little characters get placed on the star here. And so symbols, I guess. And so this top pointing up is our spiritual, and the bottom is pointing to the ground, which is our physical aspects. We usually start off early childhood with our physical. As we learn our lessons, we bring in that there's at some intersecting point in our life, we start to manifest from our spiritual side. And as we get older, those two sides start to flow interchangeably as you're learning your lessons. Now, it doesn't always happen that way. It just depends on if you're learning your lessons and how you're integrating your ego and how your level of consciousness is rising. Ruth was very much an elevated soul. This is not about her being better than anyone, that she has had many lifetimes here. Her 12-3 in her soul destiny tells me that. This is probably one of her last incarnations. So she has had a lot of wealth of knowledge, even though the veil is put over us when we come here. There's a lot of remembering that happens with old souls, as I call them. And they tend to have higher achievements than others because they have all of those past even if it's not conscious, a lot of subconscious experience to draw off of. So she had, being that she was such a pioneer for women's rights, that shows up directly in her karmic fives, actually. Karma is not anything to be afraid of. It is what I call your opportunities for growth. All the numbers have positive and negative connotations to them. And in your karmic side, you'll tend to get experience drawn to you that are of a more of a negative pattern. And this is because it is meant for you to overcome it. And so in order for you to overcome something, usually you have to get what you don't want first, right? And then you're like, I don't want that. And then if it happens again, you've learned some of your lessons and then you can overcome it. Now for her, the fives are pioneer energies. These are Aries energies. It's about stepping forward into your truth, speaking your truth. This might have started off a little rough for her because usually when you see people with fives in their physical karma, they have probably been at some point persecuted for speaking their truth as a child because they would not be able to hold back. It's just very impulsive. This is a very impulsive energy especially in the karma with speaking your truth. So I'm sure that she was, and just even a small amount of the things I read when she was in law school, just to give you an example of what this does, is okay. So it brings an experience to you. She's in law school. The dean invites these women over to his house for dinner and undermines them in these subtle ways. And basically, I don't know if he said it outright, but he alluded to the fact that he basically was asking them how they felt about them being there and taking a man's spot, that he really came across as not wanting them there. So I don't know why, how that ended up being that they did get accepted, but he was poo-pooing it. And so this would be an instance of her speaking her truth or holding back because she didn't want to offend somebody. And so as we learn our lessons and we speak our truth, regardless of whether it's what someone else wants to hear, you activate these talents. She has a very unusual talent here. I don't see too many 2-2s in physical talents. And so, so that's very rare. It's a very supportive energy, and it would really help her counteract as she started to learn her lessons, because again, every number will start off, will bring to you some of the negative. And usually if it's in a physical position, hopefully as you're learning the lessons, it gets very much easier. I mean, some people, obviously they never even open up the positive side of their talents because they never become conscious of the negative energy that's flowing. So, but with Ruth, these twos, it's a moon energy. See this little spring here, this symbol. It's all about balancing out emotions. It's called, so it's a foolishness to wisdom number. And so initially when she was younger, she might have had this emotional kind of reaction or trigger point. And as she learned her lessons, she would learn to really listen and to wait before just knee-jerk reaction responding. Now, there was something that came up later in life. So just so you know, your karma side will give you, no matter how much you've worked through your karma and how enlightened you become, you still will get challenged. It doesn't just go away. Because you're always drawing these type of energies to you. So she would always be drawing types of energies where people would ask her questions. And of course, if she wasn't being very objective in her expression, or if she was asked about Trump, I just wanted to bring that up. And she kind of had a knee-jerk reaction. And this was directly from the fives and the twos, because she was not she was feeling that he was really going to be a problem. And so, I mean, that was basically what she said. She did not want a Trump presidency. And she did come back later and apologize, because she realized her place as a judge is to be as objective in her expression as she possibly can. But this was another lesson for her to, again, realize what was going on there, become conscious of it so that she could be a better person. Because again, it is never about, I mean, it's okay to point out people's bad behavior, but you have to be very, very, very cautious about condemning people in general. We tend to want to do that in this 3D environment that we live in. So again, these were great talents for her to have, because she was able to build some great objectivity, flexibility, and a capacity to accept failure as well. So, you know, people would feel, this is a very masculine sign. Trust me, when women like Ruth Bader Ginsburg achieved much in their life, they really had to do that by really digging into the masculine, because the masculine is so revered in our society. It's really important for them to exude masculine traits, be very hardworking, less emotion, right? Because emotions are very, very frowned upon as being a weakness, even though once you become more conscious and you understand through even law of attraction that your emotions are your best friend when it comes to manifestation. And it's very important for us to understand our emotions and be able to transmute those negative ones into positive ones to benefit not just ourselves, but of others as well. So the twos gave her a great flexibility, and this paternal was a very protective, and people would feel very protected by her. If she was on your side, you would feel very protected, very secure in what she was doing. And so her goals, you know, what gets us out of bed in the morning. I mean, this 7-7 says it all. This is all about, although sevens are about healing the heart. So she may have been a little bit closed off. And, you know, she seemed like she was a little bit at times very, closed off, I guess is the best word, because people with sevens tend to have, you know, their heart, and they usually have some experiences that kind of close down the heart. I know she lost a sister, and her mom died when she was in high school, and things like that. And when we lose people close to us, it's really about breaking that heart open, you know, grieving and opening to learn compassion and valuing life. So those were valuable lessons, I'm sure, that Ruth went through early in her life. The 7 is really intellectual. You know, this chart is all about high intelligence, and it's all about, again, truth and justice. The 7s are about connecting and catalyzing groups of people. It's also not controlling groups, because you have to watch out with the 7s about being too controlling. it's really about facilitating groups. And as a judge, this is a very magnetic number. She was able to build, once she had gotten into this emotional resiliency, objectivity, and she was not afraid of speaking her truth, but doing it in I always do some creative writing. And so she wanted me to bring this up right away. So she said, speak your truth with kindness and respect for all. Again, it's not about just condemning somebody for their beliefs. It's one thing, again, behavior is different, somebody's bad behavior it's okay to call out bad behavior, but it's not okay to attack people and condemn them personally. And she really wanted to understand that respect for all. That is how we move beyond the separateness of beliefs and how we come to consensus. And it's not about groupthink or anything like that, but it's then how we bridge those gaps, and then we compromise and do what's best for everybody and not just for ourselves. So the sevens make great judges because they're very objective. They can be very, very objective in their expression. So this is actually, if you see sevens in goals, they have a great chance for being a lawyer or a judge or an arbiter, though, because of their objectivity. They also can be great actors because they hide their emotions, and they can hide, how they're really feeling. So she wouldn't be too over emotional. So she was, I feel, maybe more accepted. These were the women that had to pioneer first because they could really tap into that masculine side of themselves. So the sevens are also about becoming very decisive. And initially, early in her life, she would struggle a little bit with her decisions, and I'm sure, there were cases that she did lose, that she had taken to the Supreme Court. So this is all about learning from those. Twos give her great resiliency for failure, and learning from those so that when she would come back again, she would have great success. So, and I just want to see at my notes if there's anything else I was missing about that. So that kind of gives you a good sense of who she was, speaking her truth, emotional resiliency, very objective in expression, flexible, not affected by failure, very resilient, and then being objective and making those hard decisions for the betterment of all. I think she managed these energies very well, because if she had stayed to the negative side, that could be very, very bad, because then it's talking about making decisions based solely on emotion, hiding, trying to make decisions to control people and to just feed your ego. So I didn't see that too much in her, the ego. This comes a little bit more on her spiritual side, because we all have an ego. She was a dominant 8. We're going to talk a little about that. It's Cancer energy. This was a Cancer moon, which is why we want to talk about relationships. And this is why she came forward to me, since she had this energy and she understands why it's so important for us to build and nurture our relationships personally and professionally as well. So the 8s is also another paternal sign. And of course, she has 8s in her spiritual karma. Okay, so this is also very intellectual, intelligent. It can be a little bit of an eccentricness to it. And she kind of exuded that a little bit. I thought later in life, she kind of was her own person and a little different with her little collars. And I love that about her. I love that, that she was being who she was, really allowing herself to open up to that, being different from other people. So this number, so this is about seeing clearly. 8s are all about a clairvoyant, seeing the future, because she has it in a karmic aspect. This is where her judgment about what her future held really kind of clouded her. And she was telling me, so many people wanted her to retire at a time where they could replace her. And she was really not seeing that clearly, how it played out when Trump got in, and then he ended up getting the justices that he wanted in. And she takes responsibility for that, for not seeing that clearly and not stepping down a little early. Although we want to talk about, it's not that you can't do anything at a certain age. It's more about the future and setting the stage for the future. And so she was blinded a little bit in that aspect. And she wants to say she did not see that as clearly. She obviously recognizes that on the other side now. And she also would have issues about letting go of being unattached to things, and self-sacrificing and getting overly involved. And so that leads us to really have a lot of resistance. It can lead, again, this is hard on the body if you're being too self-sacrificing. She worked way too hard, struggled with a lot of cancers and things in her life because she wasn't really going deep. Okay, so now she says she wants to bring up about remembering to nurture all your relationships, personal and professional. We had just talked about that. And that you don't have to do everything alone. Ask and include others, because she was very self-sacrificing. That's why she wanted me to bring that up now. And she says that there's a lot of people working on the same goals. You don't have to do it all on your own. Which is why she didn't want to let go of the position, is because she didn't trust. She didn't have that trust. This is part of the karmic eights going, and for not being able to let go of that. This makes her very highly sensitive. She was a high frequency soul, and she would have had trouble grounding herself and getting clarity with this. So she was exercising at the end, which is great for grounding. We recommend that with people with eights. Exercise, cooking, walking in nature, but she didn't do that as often as she should have. And she really was later in her life when she started to take better care of the body, because the eights can be hard on the body. They can be, that self-sacrificing, not taking care of, not eating right. And so again, this was very hard on her, came out and manifested in some ways that most people would not want to deal with. She had these 18-9s are what really helped her out. And she overcame a lot of her cancers. And this 18-9 is just a super, super talent to have. Because usually I look at, when we look at these charts, we kind of see where you're at in your life. And then we see if you're exhibiting your talents, and that means the positive aspects of those talents. And the 18-9 is this is all about intellectualness. This also can add a little bit of that eccentricness that we talked about. And this tells me she was a very highly evolved being. And this 18-9 would give her the power to make those hard decisions as well as these 7s and her goals. She felt very confident. She knew she was doing the right thing. Again, she was seeing that very clearly. These are her talents. This is all about, again, the 18, this little arrow, being on your path, stating your truth, not what others want to hear. We talked about, her saying her truth, maybe recanting it or rethinking about it because she knows others wouldn't want her to say it that way. But this plays around a little bit more with that and wants you to be direct. I mean, it's not about, like I said, you can do that with kindness. It's not about meanness or putting others down to elevate yourself at all, but it's okay to speak your truth. So this is 18 is all about service oriented and being a teacher. She was obviously a teacher. You know, she started teaching law. She was one of the most well-rounded justices that we have ever had. And we need more of her. This politicalness of putting in people because they have a certain ideals and not the background is I feel, maybe that's my own judgments, is not the path that we want to take. And she's agreeing with that. And she feels too that we need to expand. We need to expand our courts. There needs to be a variety of people, ethnicities, and different ethnic backgrounds, and the races, and different from people from different walks of life. And it should your Supreme Court should cover what the United States is made of. And we are a mixed bag. Anybody can argue with me on that. And I'm sorry, that is my truth. We all had ancestors who emigrated here, unless you're Native American. We are a mixed bag, and everyone should be represented on that court, not just a select few. So she would say at this point, she maybe wasn't in favor of that when she was here, but it's time to expand. It's time to have more committees deciding how we should proceed, kind of getting some of this politics out of it and really getting down to what makes sense for the good of all and moving forward. And so that probably the most negative part of this that I could see that she kind of emanated, she had a little bit of a stubbornness to her. And obviously that can be something that she could use to her advantage. But again, it can be negative because it may restrict how you listen to others and how you're hearing others, that stubbornness. So you have to be very, very careful of those negative, and that you're channeling them in proper ways. She had nines. This 9 that, the 18 is the one side that we talked about, that inventive, intellectual, eccentric. The 9s, though, that is the most powerful number. It's wonderful to have it in your talents. You can serve as the peacemaker here. She was known for building consensus among her peers, and this would come from this number. She had a strong belief in herself. Others could feel it, and then she could, with the 7s, bring people together through these numbers here. She had just very wonderful, wonderful numbers. So she had that strong belief in herself, and so her soul would just be radiating that out. And the other thing that we see here again is, because 9s are so powerful, we also can have such a belief in ourself and in our will that we forget about taking care of the body. And so it can be hard on the body. Again, she wants to emphasize that as well. The body is your temple, and it's for the physical world and needs to be taken. So that means appropriate minerals, eating well, clean food, organic, hydrating. You should be paying attention to all of those things, and how your body is feeling, because the 8s have a tendency to not, it's all about grounding those emotions so that you can feel them. And 8s tend to stay up in their head, especially if it's on a karmic side and a goal side. They can be very ungrounded, and they may think they know how they're feeling, but they're not allowing themselves to really feel. So it's very important for especially karmic 8s to get in tune with the body, massage, yoga. She was doing like weightlifting and things like that. I highly recommend that, because that was telling me that she was working on this. Again, you don't have to know these numbers where your intuition is always pulling you through these numbers. The positive sides of these numbers are pulling you to the right things so that you can elevate yourself in this lifetime. So like I said, she was working out, she was doing the right things. The 8s and goals were all about her finding her expression in society and finding her place. And, I think this is for her to reach out and emotionally connect with people. And she was doing that on the court and in the public and through teaching. That was, she was getting into her emotions and connecting with people, because you can't connect with people if you're not doing it at some type of an emotional level. So she was working on that. Her soul destiny, like I said earlier in this reading, she was all about, she was in a hurry to get as much done here while she could. Her soul was pushing her hard, fast, and furious. 12 is all about expansion, learning a wealth of knowledge. And when it's in soul destiny, it's bringing that wealth, as I said, from other lifetimes to this lifetime. And that's why somebody like her would have had such an impact on the world as she did, is because this would be pushing her at a deep, deep soul level. Those 12s are all about expression. They're very idealistic. And she would struggle a little bit. See, this is where a little bit of that judgment, where again, that judgment of others comes in from the 12. So you have to be very cautious here about how you're judging others. And she was very hard on herself. And she acknowledged that she is as hard on herself as she was on anyone else, harder on herself. And so again, that's something that we want to be kind to ourselves, how we talk to ourselves. She wants to bring that up, developing that relationship with yourself, not just with your personal and professional, developing your inner worth, because the 3s that are tied to this, again, is the poverty to wealth number. And it's all about this inner wealth, communication. That's how, as you learn to communicate, we advise people with this 3 and goals karmically, or to be always doing public speaking or singing or some type of writing, because it's all about going to the depths of your soul and pulling out that expression and communicating it. And it can be it's hard sometimes to go to the depths because you don't know what you're feeling. And so it's all about how you feel about oneself, your worthiness. And so as she was having success, she was building her worthiness and exuding that to others as well, and helping others with their worthiness and helping to take on. So she had, this gives her great willpower, this blended energy. She would, the 3s are also about listening. And but she would have had this great urgency to finish things. Like I said, she didn't want to give up on that seat. She had a lot to accomplish yet, because the 12-3s never have enough time. They always are pushed. So it's important for her to do as much as she did in her lifetime. And like she said, she would have gotten back to, again, relationships, building better relationships personally, being more loving, taking more time away from work, and maintaining business relationships, and doing that with kindness. And not saying that she was not doing that at all. She was a very, very elevated soul. She had a very good degree of consciousness about her and her actions. But she wants you to, at this time, after this new moon, or when you get this message, to pay special attention to what triggers you and to go deeper. Now, she got triggered by Trump. Okay, she felt that was not the way we wanted to go. She was very worried. It triggered her. But when something triggers us, it's really telling us there's something we need to look at deeper, because it normally isn't about what is triggering you at the time, even though you think that's what it is, whether it's a relationship that's ended or somebody you don't like or don't vibrate at. I always say it's not personal, it's vibrational. And if you don't vibrate at the same level, that's okay. But if that's triggering you and you're getting like fit to be tied, and I mean, people just are so divisive, and they're just sticking in their little worlds, and they're not opening up and just being secure in what they believe, but still being open to always listening to others' perspective. So she also wants me to bring up, she passed away from pancreatic cancer. And I want to read to you about that because she's saying that a lot of these triggers are from past experiences. And so I have my book, Messages from the Body. Let's get back to the main screen here. Ooh, Ruth, take care. We'll go back to the main screen and still talk to you here, but I'll get so we can see this a little bit better. So this is Messages from the Body, and it is by Michael Lincoln, PhD. And this is every physical manifestation has an emotional attachment to it. So not only do you want to take care of the physical part of the injury or what is going on, but it's really time for you to take a deeper dive and look at where that where it's coming from. So when we look at pancreatic cancer, because there's been a few celebrities that I plan on doing in the future too that have also passed away from this, at least one that I can think of. So this is what it says. Where's the exit? They have in fact given up on life and they want out of here now. They probably do not know this at a conscious level because their ego is taken over. They're very fearful of crossing over. But at a subconscious level, they are really starting to give up on life. They are intensely embittered and they feel that they in effect have no quality of life or reason to continue. They feel utterly unable to make anything better in their life and they don't want to bother trying anymore. They are sitting on a great deal of resentment, rage, and disgusted distrust about the world and other people. This is when you have let those attachments to and seeing which, the ego kind of clouds our minds there. And so, we're saying that we're so in distrust of what other people are. We know that she didn't want this new administration and she had to have been totally disgusted with what she was seeing because she actually said so. And then she had to apologize because she knew that wasn't her place to do that. So to them, it is as if they are surrounded by a ship of fools in an insane world and they want out. She's saying she can absolutely relate to this 100%. They see no possibility of anything working out or any sweetness in life. So they forgot about all of these other aspects of life and they were only focusing on the negative. And that happens. And when you have dominant 8s in your chart, you can get to have these dark nights of the soul and can get in a very depressive way. And that is when we usually manifest an illness or, not always. It's not always based on an emotional trigger. We do have what's called a random generator to keep us guessing, but this all gets started at a dysfunctional family level who made it quite clear that there was an underlying message that they had no right to expect a good life. And so do you see how she was seeing the ship of fools and distrusting and the world has gone mad? And so that just, again, what you believe shows itself to you. And these beliefs come up so that we can clear them if they're recognized. And so she was saying that she was really raised with this ideology that she didn't have a right to a good life. And how was that kept manifesting for her? Whether she was told as a woman, she shouldn't be able to do this, she couldn't get paid as much, all of these things, again, because this was something that she really needed to clear in this life. So then they throw it in the towel and then they transition. So we have a lot of exit points enough, and I'm not saying she was in her 80s when she died. She lived a good life. She says, I have nothing. She's very proud and should be, and she would not have changed any of it. So I don't want you to think that she has huge regrets. She's just wants us to have some takeaways about the building of relationships during this time. And so we're going to pull some cards quick. Rattle on a little bit, but we're going to look at, again, Caroline Myss, these archetype cards. She wants to pull one from here first to talk about. So What would you, oh, one popped out. Oh, perfect. We talked about the self-sacrificing, right? So the martyr came out. She was martyring herself a little bit there. And then, or on her deathbed, saying, don't replace me. So the light side of being a martyr is all about learning the transcendent nature of service to oneself or a cause, right? The shadow self is addiction to self-pity. Being a martyr because your life is so terrible, but you're not doing anything about it. And you're just complaining to everyone and just wallowing in this self-pity mode. And right now, it's time to go deeper. Doesn't mean that you shouldn't have compassion for yourself or kindness for yourself. But if you're really pitying yourself, and if you really are taking that approach that, poor me, that isn't, that isn't benefiting anyone. It's not benefiting you. Being a true martyr is, again, service to yourself and to a cause. I do want to read in the book on this one, she's saying. So there might be another message here. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, the martyr has the courage of one's convictions, going so far as to die for a cause. That when she says, when you think about martyrs, you think about Gandhi's cause of nonviolence and people dying, allowing themselves to be killed because they knew that eventually they would overcome it through nonviolence. Okay. Suffers that others may be redeemed either spiritually or politically. So I would say she played the martyr pretty well there. I mean, she was hoping, they would take her last wishes. And by doing that, by making that, and then the way some of the politicians acted, she kind of made them show their true colors, if that means anything. It does to me. So the shadow martyr utilizes a combination of service and suffering for others as a means of controlling or manipulating them, relating to being a victim. And look for a pattern of giving yourself to causes for the betterment of others, regardless of the consequences. So wonderful message, Ruth, about being the right kind of a martyr. Much appreciated for that distinction, even though I felt she was a little bit self-sacrificing in good health. And she says, yeah, she could have done better there. So the next card we get is Awakening, energetic upgrades, a new way of being, integration. I love this, see how she's just being uplifted to the heavens here. Just allowing those energetic upgrades to happen. Such a strong, strong person. Just such a strong soul. Okay, so this is for the viewers. You are going through a period of awakening. Things are changing within you and at many levels. You are starting to remember ancient truths and discovering more and more about who you are and why you were incarnated. You may find that you are experiencing past life flashbacks, seeing the invisible thread that is woven through all of life, or even feeling Kundalini Shakti rise through your body from the base of your spine. I've been feeling that a lot myself. I've been having a lot of tingling in my legs and arms as well lately. And I feel like we're going through this huge energetic shift right now. The most important thing for this time is not to overthink it and stay grounded. Share your experiences with like soul people, like we're doing right now, while you consciously integrate them. Journal and pay attention to your dreams. I've been doing that. My dreams have been very sporadic, very weird kind of, but I've been writing them down, and I encourage you to do the same. You are remembering and your soul gifts are emerging. During this time of transition and awakening, you may be called to devote yourself to being of service. There are ideas, truths, concepts, books, and creations waiting to be birthed into this world. Stay open to receiving them. Pulling this card may be a sign that you are here to birth one of these creations into the world, or perhaps you are being called to make a shift in your life in order to be of service. Don't think too much about it. Instead, repeat the following work your light activation. So please repeat after me. I surrender my awakening. I allow the Shakti energy to rise from the base of my spine. I open myself up to the universe using me in a way that delights my mind, body, and spirit. And I'll repeat it one more time. I surrender my awakening. I allow the Shakti energy to rise from the base of my spine. I open myself up to the universe, using me in a way that delights my mind, body, and spirit. She's really encouraging all of us at this time to be of service. So we're going to go next to the Wisdom Oracle by Colette Baron-Reid. And I do always put all the cards we pulled and the decks that I get them from in the description box below. I will do that again. Ruth. Oh, this one wants to come out. Oh, I've had this one come out before. And it says, not for you. And so what this means is pay attention to what you're putting your energy into. So remember, rejection is God's protection. So if there is something that you're doing that you're not getting anywhere, have faith that there's a reason for it. So, you know, if your politician didn't get elected, if you know, you got fired from your job. So there are times when it appears that no matter how deeply you desire something, no matter how hard you work at something, the result you seek always seems to elude you. It's as if you don't really get to be in the game and you feel you're just watching from the sidelines. The appearance of this card indicates that you are not going to attain what you want right now. That indeed your dreams for that exact thing will not be fulfilled. This is a time to radically accept that not everything is available to you when you want it. Take heart, for there are benevolent forces who desire the best for you and have a much clearer idea of what is your highest good. Rejection is God's protection. Something much better that will make you truly happy is on its ways. Trust this. So I'm getting this for some people that are trying to hold on to relationships that no longer serve them. They're trying to make things work that are not working, whether it's at a job, again, the relationship. And so that's what this is about. It's really about that it's not for you, and to pick up on those signs and trust in the universe and ask the universe to show you your path. It will, I promise you. It has been doing that for me continuously. So now we're going to go to Sacred Destiny and pull a card from there before we get to our the Metatron Self-Mastery. Oh, here we go. Oh, pleasure. So she is just hitting on all of the things we just talked about. Again, pleasure. Look at the beautiful deer and the I love that canopy, just the way that the moss hangs down and the stairs, and see how they wind and kind of curve around. Very, very beautiful. So let's read a little bit on pleasure. Talked about this before too in some of my other videos. Meadows are usually open, sunny places where flora and fauna thrives and flourish. They are havens as the trees surround the meadow, offer protection and shade for the grassy area. Traditionally, they are associated with the openness, gentle calm, and relaxation. They are places where the weary traveler can stop and rest to renew his spirit. And that's the other aspect she's trying to say. You're forcing something, it may not be for you. Resting and recovering that body, keeping that, not just falling into that negativity, keeping yourself in a good place. A meadow is a place where people as well as animals gather to enjoy the simple pleasures of life. So she wants you to know this. Savor your life, each and every part of it. Take pleasure in slowing down and experiencing each of your senses. Taste your food with full gusto. Inhale the sense of the world around you. Enjoy the colors and textures of your life. This is a truly stop and smell the roses. Please do this for Ruth. Justice for all, but stop and smell the roses and enjoy the journey of that. Move, embrace your sensuality, move in a languid way. Let pleasure be your password into every intimate part of your life. Allow your life to be less about being productive and more about enjoying each moment with verve, and a radiant energy will flow through you in all directions of your life. It doesn't have to be as hard. And Ruth is saying she made it very hard because she thought she had to, because that was a belief she had taken on. It doesn't have to be that hard. So we're going to bring in the energy of Archangel Metatron. I work a lot with his energy, as with Archangel Michael. And on the feminine side, Kuan Yin, Mary Magdalene, and Mother Mary. That's kind of my group that I work with on a day-to-day basis. So let's see what Ruth would like to share. Aha, priorities. Priorities. I'm sure you're shocked by that message. Building, and this adds up to that 7 that's on her. Do you have any other numbers? We have 2. The 6, harmony, love, balance. 52 adds up to 7. Priorities, building blocks for life. So I think I do want to go in and read this if you don't mind. I know we're getting kind of long here, but again, I tried to go with the flow of the energies of the celebrity. And so Metatron brings your attention today to your priorities. Let's talk about these, please. There's a message here for people who are needing to understand. Okay, so the angels have heard your call for help and are here offering their support, assistance, and time. Okay, help is here. Maybe they are unbalanced, your priorities. Maybe you have spent too long on one thing at the expense of another. Or maybe you have spread yourself too thin by overcommitting and running yourself ragged. I struggle with this as I am working still in the corporate world and working on my spiritual business. So I have to constantly come back to priorities and building my foundation. So please stop for a moment and think about what is really important right now. What needs doing today? What can wait until tomorrow? Just as Archangel Metatron has many angelic helpers, you are reminded to allow others around you to help you build whatever you wish for. Build a network of those you can trust, friends, family, acquaintance. Again, building those relationships. That's the whole message here today. Those who share your vision regarding whatever you wish to do or bring to this earth. Whatever you want in your life is being protected and held in place by Metatron's radiant wings. You are asked to focus on the rainbow pyramid at the center of his wings. Pyramid, part of my soul contract pyramid. So the pyramid is a symbol of stability and balance. You need a strong foundation underneath you in terms of people, resources, and energy to facilitate the growth in your life that you seek right now. Ruth didn't do it without help from others and resources and stability. So she's encouraging you to lean on others if you need to, let them lean on you, help each other out. So often we seek spiritual enlightenment in some far off place or dimension, yet spirit is an earthly task too, caring for children and pets, cleaning houses and washing clothes. You cannot grow upward, whether in spiritual or material terms, without first having taken care of life's necessities and demands. These are life's building blocks. You cannot truly find peace if you haven't taken care of what your attention needs first, what needs your attention first. There will be times when you need to ask for help, both from your angels and guides and earthly friends. You don't need to battle alone. To create anything worthwhile takes many forms of energy and many skills and talents. You may need to reach out, learn something new, delegate or employ others to help. Or you may need time alone, knowing home fires are still burning. Remember that life is a rich tapestry of many colors. Make time for everything that brings you joy and happiness, whether that be exercise, reading a book, meditation, travel. I build puzzles. I love them. There is a time to try it all, but not without prioritizing your time. To create something beautiful in your life, you need to assess the order in which things need to be done. This card also asks you to look where you give away your time, energy, and attention. Are you giving it to others that aren't serving you? Are they sucking away your energy and your time when it's such a valuable resource to yourself on your mission? Today, look at what is important and what isn't. And then from that wise, considered place, everything will start to flow. Thank you, Metatron, and thank you for that. We're going to pull one last mantra for the viewers. Mantra, Ruth. This is from Matt Kahn, the healing deck. It's a healing mantra to help you on your own healing journey. Matt is a spectacular representation of discovering happiness, is what the card is called. And the mantra is, I allow myself to be content exactly as I am. I allow myself to be content exactly as I am. I allow myself to be content exactly as I am. Hopefully, trying to see if that will. Beautiful card. I love Matt's teachings and one of my mentors. It's a wonderful, wonderful teacher. So Ruth, we all thank you for being here. She wants to thank all of her supporters and everyone. And she also wanted me to talk how much she loved Kate McKinnon's, how she portrayed her in Saturday Night Live. She just thought that was so awesome. And it just filled her with such love and joy. And all of you guys that just are really carrying on for her and being of service, please continue to do so. It's that. And make sure, though, it's done in a self-fulfillment type of way. So with that, thank you for being here. Please like, subscribe, and share. And I will, she's doing a little jig over here. She wants everyone to know she's feeling great. Thanks. And she's just a little pipsqueak too. I love it. I love her. Thank you. And remember, if you haven't looked in the mirror and said those 3 words to yourself, looking yourself in the eyes, I love you, please do so today. Self-love is where it all begins. So, well, we'll see you in the next video. Bye. Thanks, Ruth. Bye-bye.